A little sick. Or boost your immune system. So I gotta get fit what you eat.
Well, we're live now.
Wow.
Look at that.
I feel like you're better.
Man, you looked at each class today.
Absolutely. I wish someone would, so that we could have some good.
They used to let us do that from time to time.
Yeah. I used to have a thing where I asked people to do it, but nobody ever volunteered.
I'll do it. I'll try it anyway.
I'll do it. Well, you have to come up with a topic and show me what your topic is, and then I'm going to study the topic, and then if it's one that we can, yeah, we'll do it. Okay. So, come up with one, Sean. Sure.
You want girls to see. Man, Drew, man. Right. That's good enough,
Nah, bullshit.
That's a look at.
Whatever.
You know, it'd be worth it. Look at it. Hopefully, I'll give her.
Struggle beer. Word.
Get them off. Right there, something all the way around. When I close the door, I got to go. Who told you? If I have to go around, stop. You know, it ain't nothing but.
Yes, yes.
I have something in my mind.
Buddy, who's on your bed?
I have some.
Yes, sign it. Yes, you got it.
I like the sound.
I
wasn't even
Sure.
Not ready. Not ready.
Not ready.
Oh, you were inside.
Another one is,
All right, guys. Oh, she's outside.
that was,
Session time, session. Session, morning session. Morning session. Morning session, gentlemen, morning session.
I may be a little bit late. I gotta go get my stuff.
What's that? Always come up.
You gotta be just 4 or 5 minutes, 4 hours.
So,
2 hours.
Generally this class lasts till 2 hours.
Yesterday.
Fully time. Some days he'll do short, some days he'll do the standard.
All righty then. Good morning. Little bit of morning, good little bit. You look, it's Wednesday already. Isn't that a big deal? Man, that's something special. We get special food and stuff on Wednesday. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be special. Also, real quickly, some housekeeping stuff. I really don't know what's going to go on tomorrow or Friday. I have to be at the other facility, so I'm not certain that we're going to be doing groups. So I'm going to check on that today. If I can, I'll come in and either do a group or do an abbreviated group tomorrow and Friday, but maybe we'll be just watching videos tomorrow and Friday. So that's going to be, that's going to be what it is. I'll let y'all know before the end of the day, hopefully. If not, if I'm not here in the morning, you'll know what happened. All right? It'll be all right. So everybody, make sure you fill out your sign-in sheets well so that I can read them. I got them all from North this morning early, and I appreciate you ladies filling those out well. And also, everybody has your book. We're still in spirituality for this whole week. It's supposed to be about spirituality. And we're going to talk about this morning a little, we're going to go a little bit different route. We're going to be talking about staying positive, how to be positive. And we're just going to look at that pretty quickly. We may take, and I'm thinking about instead of just one break this morning, that we take 2 or 4. I'm not sure. Or just break for the whole thing. And we got some people excited about that. And other people want to be in the group. But, other people are taking their own break. And, So today, we've gotten to a place in our spiritual health stages. And remember again, that these are not days, but rather stages, because you couldn't do all of this stuff. And I say that, but there's always that outlier person. Somebody might go through all those stages in 1 week. I don't know. But for me, that would be really hard. So the third stage, and I remember walking through most of these stages. And we're at a stage called tepid. What is tepid? What does that mean?
That's some exposure to a spiritual life on a little effort that's been made to explore the meaning of a spiritual life and any spiritual principles.
So we have a gentleman here proving without a shadow of a doubt that he's literate. You can read. Well, so again, what is tepid?
The word hesitant.
It's a word. It's a word. And it just makes me feel so good to know we don't have any smart Alex in our group at all. As a matter of fact, he's outside of ours. What did you say it was?
Hesitant to start.
It's what?
Hesitant to start.
Hesitant to start. Okay. What did you say? Wary. 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 All of those are good things. Tepid means lukewarm. Like if you get your water, if you go out and you get your coffee and you get a good hot cup of coffee and you let it sit, after a while it becomes tepid. And tepid means it's just lukewarm. And lukewarm coffee, I saw someone get some coffee out of the pot yesterday and said, "Oh, coffee's cold." Well, it wasn't cold. It was still warm a little bit. That's tepid. Okay? So that's sometimes where we get to in our spirituality. We get to a place where we are just lukewarm. We're tepid. Sometimes we wind up, walking around out in the woods and stuff and looking at the trees and saying, well, this is nice. This is okay. We're not really getting any spiritual energy from it or anything, but it's okay. It's nice. And we go to church and we just do it because we do. I have a lot of people that come to church because that's what we do on Sunday mornings, and we sing 3 songs, and we put 38 cents in the offering, and then we go home. Because that's what we do. Spirituality needs to be something that's real, something that's important to us. So we're tepid at this place, though. We're still trying to get there. You have some exposure to a spiritual life. Your great-grandmother on your daddy's side was a real spiritual person. So you have some connection to it. Although little effort has been made to explore the meaning of a spiritual life, we really haven't looked into what a spiritual life means. We haven't explored it real well. And if you'll notice, there's a few misspelled words in the book. I didn't write the book. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but that ain't how you spell explore. That ain't right, So anyway, or maybe that's the French version of it, explore. I don't know. Anyway. We haven't really gotten into exploring the meaning of a spiritual life or toward adherence to any set of spiritual principles. What is adherence? What does that mean?
Adherence means to be.
I don't know.
Well, it means to be in line with.
Yeah, adhere to be in line with, to do it religiously. That means when it's time to do it, I'm going to do it. So, is that a good place to be, tepid? Not spiritually. We want to move to where we are better than that, deeper than that, but we have at least moved from unfamiliar, unwilling, or confused. We know there's something. So we're looking. So this morning what we're doing is we're going to look at being a positive person. And so our goal is to learn how to be positive and to use spirituality as part of that. Uno momento. Anyway, so our goal for this group today is to learn how to be more positive just in our own situation and where we are right now, and how to use positivity to move us to a different level and to use spirituality in that same situation. It's one of the things that I talk about a whole lot of time, and I use it in my own life, and sometimes I feel like I know that positive self-talk is doing something good for me. How many folks know that it's okay to do something good for yourself sometimes. It is. I told y'all yesterday, it's supposed to be God first, you second, other people second, and then me third. But, if I'm at third, that still means that there's a time for me to do something good for myself, right? If I'm eating the right type of food, if I'm exercising, and if I'm getting enough sleep. Last night I got 8 hours of sleep. That was an amazing accomplishment for me. But if we're doing those things, then is that doing something good for myself? Sure it is. Sure it is. And I should, because that's going to make me healthier, wealthier, and wise. That's going to make me feel better. And when I feel better about myself. So when I feel better about myself, I can do things like use some good, positive self-talk. Is that bragging on myself? Usually good, positive self-talk is the goals that I have for my life. I've had so many people tell me, well, I'm not going to lie about it. Okay, well, go ahead. If you're happy where you are, stay where you are. Right? If you're happy being, broke, poor, and, in a bad situation and all of that kind of stuff. And I know some people who are okay with that. I have folks in my family who don't have a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out of, and they're happy with that. Don't like windows anyway. You know what I'm saying? And if that's where you're at and that's okay with you, that's okay, right? But if you would prefer to be at a better place, then we usually can start by making the goals to get us to a better place. And so saying something that I really would like to happen in my life is not a lie, it's a goal. I'm a good father. Is that true?
Absolutely.
I hope.
Pretty true in my life, I think. It's not true in everybody's life, is it? That's what CPS is about, right? So a lot of the times, if CPS has come and got all of my children and got them gone and all of that kind of stuff, and I'm walking around telling myself I'm a good father, and my wife is telling herself that I'm a good mother, it doesn't seem like that is true. What happens when I tell myself I'm a good mom or I tell myself I'm a good dad? What happens? Say it again? Positive reinforcement. That's what that is. But what that does is that that's my goal now, that causes me to do things that will make that happen. Look, if you're using drugs and you've got 3 little children below the age of 12 and you're using drugs and alcohol around them and having all sorts of bad issues and things going on in your life, are you actually and factually a good parent? No. So if I'm going around and telling myself, hey, you know what, I'm a good dad. I'm a good mom. I'm a good parent. Then you're going to do some things that make that a reality. The first thing is you're not going to do drugs and alcohol. You're not going to relapse and go back and take that back to your children because you're a good father. You're a good mother. You don't do that around your kids. You don't do that for your children. Even though you can use it somewhere else other than around your children, you don't use it at all because being a good parent demands that I don't do it. And I'm going to get a good job, or at least I'm going to get a job, right? Talked to a lady yesterday, and said, what's the longest job you ever had? 8 years. Worked for 8 solid years. Okay. Where did you work? Burger King. Burger King. Is Burger King the pinnacle of success? Is that where I'm going to be working 30 years from now? Probably not. But hey, I want to tell you what, working 8 years or working 10 years or 30 years at Burger King is okay. It is. You have a job, making money, bringing something into the household, and taking care of the people there. So here's the deal. There are some strategies other than that I want us to get a hold of this morning because we need to be positive. I can use my spirituality to help me to be a positive person. Right? I know that God exists. I know that because I've seen the things He's done in my life. I also know that, I have a higher power that cares for me. So I can be positive about my life because I know that my higher power has a plan for my life. Sometimes my plan for my life has really been a little screwy. My plan for my life was to be in the military for all those years. Didn't work out. My plan, the secondary plan, I'm gonna be a pilot. I'm gonna pilot big old airplane. I'm gonna fly people, but that didn't work out. But God had other plans for me. So here's some things for strength. So I can even if my plans don't work out, there are other plans in play that are going to work out. So here's the deal. These are some strategies, and we're going to go over pretty quickly, but these are some strategies for staying positive. Look, we don't only want to stay positive, we want to stay confident. What's the difference? What's the difference in being positive and being confident?
Confident means being self-assured, positive means being optimistic.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. If I'm positive, I can be positive about anything, right? And if I'm positive about anything, I can be positive that I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm going to be positive that I can be positive that I'm not going to be able to do something. That's positive in the wrong direction. I'm positive that I can do it. Now, we haven't looked at our thing. Somebody told me that this looked like several different people. I don't know anybody that looks like that. That's a seriously ugly man.
Oh man, I could say like she said it.
Now, see, I'm positive this one. I'm a positive individual, right? I'm positive he don't know what he's talking about. What's this guy doing?
Right, climbing mountain.
He's climbing up the hill. And what is he saying to himself? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. He's walking up that hill. He's going to get up here. Here is the brass bell. He's going to get up to that brass bell, and he's not even worried about the fact he don't have no shoes on. He don't have anything else. Look, he's kind of skinny. He don't have a lot of nothing, but he's headed up the hill, right? So that's a big deal. Who does he remind you of?
That's right. Nick.
Who?
Nick and I have no shoes on.
You don't have no shoes on? We have to wear shoes around here. He's got something that kind of look like shoes. But anyway, he reminds me a little bit of President Obama. Y'all remember him? You don't remember President Obama?
I think you say that.
Why did I say that? Because y'all remember what President Obama said?
Well, I would.
What did he say? He said a lot of stuff, but one of the biggest things that President Obama said.
No such agency.
What's that?
No such agency.
Say it to me again.
No such agency.
No. What he said was. No. What he said was, can we do it? He said, here you have a black man in America with a funny name. Can we? And he said, yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And so as he kept going, had thousands and millions of other people that said, yes, we can. He's president of the United States for 8 solid years because he said, yes, we can. Now, that's not the only reason, but he had that type of confidence and that type of positive stuff. He came out of there positive. Yes, we can. No matter what's going on, no matter what's happening, yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, we can. And he did. And so the same thing can happen for us. If we say, yes, we can. Can I stay in my recovery?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yeah. Can I be a good dad?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I can. Can I be a good mom? Yes, I can. Now, you guys, y'all can. But the ladies at North, yes, you can be a good mother. Yes, you can be a good dad. Yes, you can do these things. Yes, I can be a success in life. What's a success in life? That's what you decide your level of success is, right? Yeah. There's some people right now are a success because they're here. I made it through all of this crap, and now I'm here sitting in a class, and I'm sober for the first time in however many, and I'm a success right now today because of that. So my success is, look, success for me is to live to be 100 years old. Look, I'm getting close already, all right? I only got 28 more years, and then I will be 100 years old. I'm still going to be serving my God, and, it's going to be a fantastic thing. So that's my goal. I have other goals. I have other things that I'm positive about. I'm going to be a good husband. I'm going to be a good spouse. Is that something we should look at as a successful thing in our life? The average marriage lasts how long?
7 years.
How many years?
7.
Say it again.
7.
7. Man, don't look at me like that. I didn't wear my ears today. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. So I'm positive that I'm going to be able to hear later on, because tomorrow I'm going to wear my ears. I just didn't want to wear them today. 7 years is a good long marriage most of the time. The average marriage lasts between 3 and 5 years. Why is that?
Quitters.
Tired.
Well, we don't. A lot of us don't go into a marriage with a positive aspect going on, a positive outlook for that marriage. I heard a thing on the radio. This was years ago, but still, we can't expect people to stay married for more than 5 years. That's because we go into that expecting it not to exceed that. So it can last your whole life. So here's the deal. We want to be positive. We want to be confident. We want to be strong. So there's some things that we need to look at. First off, we need to be willing to review the truth. We need to be willing to take a look at the truth. Think about whatever is true, right, and virtuous. Who gets to decide what is true, right, and virtuous? We do a lot. We do that a lot. But also we need to take everybody else into the whole thing. We need to be able to look at society. What does society say is true? What does society say is right? What does society say is virtuous? Do I line up with that truth? So what does society say about stealing?
It's wrong.
Ooh. Yeah, society says that's not right? What about you? I'm not supposed to take somebody else's stuff. So if I come to the place where I say, well, you know what, in my own version of truth, it's okay for me to take that other people's stuff. Is that true?
America does it.
America does it?
You always go to other countries and take stuff.
Okay.
This place was built on taking.
Say it again?
This place was built on taking.
Okay. Well, whatever we believe about that, about politics and all of that kind of stuff, that's okay. That's your own personal belief about those kinds of things. But instead of worrying about that, what am I supposed to be doing?
Follow the rules.
I'm supposed to be, I'm supposed to be worried about me. And when we say they make all of those rules and stuff that we're supposed to be following, who makes those rules?
Authority.
Society. Yeah. And aren't we part of society?
Yes.
Sure we are. We're part of that. I don't want people stealing my stuff. I don't like that at all. And I'm certainly not going to steal yours, because that's not what I do. Yeah, so I don't like that. So focus on what you have and not on what you don't have. Is that a big deal? Think about that. Do you have anything? Yeah, I got a 16-year-old car. I got a house that's unique. I have a unique house. I bought an old house and rebuilt it myself, and it's all unlevel. You know, because I don't know how to do that stuff, but I did it, right? I put up, I told y'all this before, but I put up a board the other day in my house, and it was plumb and level and straight. We had to pull it out because it didn't match anything else in the house. You know, it was thrown out. So, yeah, I have stuff. You have stuff, right?
I have shit.
Well, yeah, that's a good thing. I don't want a whole bunch of that. Right? I've got all of that. I don't want a whole bunch. I don't want a whole bunch of that. But if you look around, even if you don't have a car and a house, then what have I got? I've got my life. I've got my health. I've got stuff. You know, I've got some things in my life. So that will help me stay positive. So we need to, if I focus on what I have and not what I don't have. You know, the disease that we have could have killed us before we got here. The disease that we have could have killed us in 14 different ways. When I was out using, I totaled my car a couple times. You know, I flipped my last car while I was using. I flipped it 7 different times and was life flighted. It's the funniest thing. I was on a straight road, nothing. Went off the road, came back on the road. They told me I was in a blackout. My car flipped 3 times, then went way up in the air like that and flipped over a fence, and then hit the ground, flipped 3 more times. It was crazy. I never touched the fence. The authorities cut the fence down. When the ambulance got there, they had to tear the fence down to get in to come get me. And it was amazing. And if you're ever in a situation like that and they say, hey, you can go on the ambulance or you can go in the helicopter. Go on the ambulance. Ambulance cost about $2,000. The helicopter is about $70,000 to fly like 3 blocks. So don't do that. So focus on what you have, not what you don't have. I have my life today because God saw fit to keep me here. So look, this is really important, and this we don't do a whole lot. Be kind without trying to impress anybody else. Just be a person who is kind. That's going to help you build your own self-esteem. That's going to help you build your own positivity in your life if you're kind to other people. What do people do to people who are kind to them? Sometimes, most of the time, they are reciprocal. They will be kind to you too. Sometimes they're like this negative. They're going to say they're going to get you. And some people do. But most people are going to be kind back too. If you are good and kind to other people, or you're going to be taken, somebody's going to take advantage of you. Sometimes they will. What is that? That's on them. That's on them. I'm still going to be a positive person. I'm kind to everybody I can be kind to. I do that. If you need something that I have, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you. You know, I will. You know, you want my lunch, you can have it. It's Brussels sprouts. I'm kind enough to give you my Brussels sprouts.
I'll trade you my sandwiches.
I can't eat the bread. So
I can't eat the bread.
No, you can't. So be kind without trying to please everybody. Be a kind person without trying to please everybody. Because here's the deal, I'm going to tell you something. You can't please everybody. You cannot do it. I've tried to do it. I've been a people pleaser all of my life, and you just can't. And it bothers me when somebody doesn't like me. It bothers me when people don't care for what I'm doing or what I'm saying and all of that kind of stuff. It bothers me because I want to be a people pleaser. It's been really, 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 really advantageous for me to get to that place, and it was hard for me to get to that place where, okay, you don't like that, that's okay. Right? If you don't like me, hey, there's other people in the world for you to like. You don't have to like me. Right? Okay. But I want to be kind to look, it's not going to be, I'm hoping it's not going to be my fault if you don't feel good about me. It's going to be your fault. You've just decided not to feel good about me. And that's okay. And I have been taken 35 times. That's okay. All right. That's on them. They're going to have to deal with that when they meet their maker. That's okay. I had a lady one time ask me, she was crying, she was having a really bad day, and she was a coworker. And I said, okay, what's going on? Her car needed brakes all the way around. Okay, 4 brakes. Okay. The guy that's changing out her brakes charged her $1,300. Okay, all right. I could have done it for $100, but okay, And he had her car, and he was not releasing her car. So okay, all right. She said, okay. And she's a nice lady. She's a good lady and all of that stuff. So I spoke to my wife, and we said, okay. We gave her $1,300. And she went, got her car back. She said, I appreciate that so much. That is so kind of you guys. And what I'm going to do is every paycheck, every payday, I'm going to give you something back. I'm going to pay that back. I'm going to get paid off as quick as I could. We said, okay, that's good stuff. So how many payments do you think she made?
1.
I wish she had. I wish she had. She never gave us a dime back. So at some point, okay, did she take us? Yeah. So, but at some point, we said, okay, we don't expect that back from her. That instead of a loan is a gift, and she can have that. And so we're not worried about that anymore. And so there it is. She can have it. So we got blessed. God blessed us because we had blessed her. But, there are people who are going to do that, right? We had a lady that came to our church. She needed some, we have our benevolence usually is at like $500. We try to keep that in there so we can help people. That's what we do, And she came and she said, so she needed the whole $500. We gave her, I think it was $475. She said, I'm going to pay that back. I don't want just benevolence. I just want a loan. Okay. So we gave her that stuff, and she'd been coming to the church about a month. So what did she do?
Stop coming.
She did. We ain't seen her since.
Well, you need to stop hitting.
So, she took the church. Okay. So, what does that say? One of these days, she's going to have to stand before her Lord and say, well, yeah, I took, but here's the deal. God forgave her for that, so we did too. So it's not a big deal. We have $8 in our banana.
Dr. T, I need to borrow $100, man.
Yeah. Say you need $500.
I need to borrow $100.
See me after class.
I'll pay you back.
Yeah, well, I know you, so see me after class. So, look, here's the deal. We can't please everybody. We need to learn to live. Now, this is important, way important for me. Because, not only do I suffer from low self-esteem, I have this issue with perfectionism. And it already hit me this morning. It already tore me up this morning. I'm sitting there and somebody told me something and I think, crap, and then I come in here and I think, well, everybody loves me. But then I find out nobody loves me in here. Everybody hates me. I might as well go eat worms. Because, my office right over there, they locked the door on me. And I went and talked to somebody, we ain't going to mention who it was, but I went and talked to them. They said, all right, we're gonna keep you locked out. You can always walk around. So does that hurt? That hurt my feelings. I'm going, all right. So I had to walk around twice. And it was just about, and I had to go anyway. So if you make a mistake, what do you do about it? See, that's why all of that went to, I said all of that to say all of this, that when I make a mistake, it really tears me up. And I make them regularly. But being a perfectionist, you'll lie, steal, cheat, hide. You'll do whatever you have to do to keep people from knowing you made a mistake. So the only way that I could fix that is to get to the place where when I make a mistake, I'm going to go talk to somebody about it. I'm going to tell my boss right now, I broke that. I tore that up. So when we need to learn with mistakes instead of endlessly trying to never make mistakes. I'm going to tell you something. This is probably going to surprise you, but all of us in here have made mistakes, will make mistakes. You're not going to be able to not make mistakes. It's just a human frailty. That's going to happen to us. So focus on, if we can, focus on what recently went well with us. What went right? What's the good things? What went right with us? Lots of things have gone right with us here lately. Think about those things. And then look, feast on inspiring stories, motivational programs that want to build you up. Take a look at some of those things that other people had a good time on that, other people were positive in that, and you should be as well too. So here's something. This is I don't know if I don't want to do that. So one of the things that we talk about around here all of the time, and I want to talk about a little bit more this morning, is again positive self-talk. We need to get into positive self-talk. I used to have my own facility, and we had ladies in that facility. I'm telling you a lie. This was at another facility that Centacor had, but we had ladies on one side and guys on the other side. And when the ladies came in, they had to see me, and the first thing that I told them is that they had to give us a positive outlook on themselves. When they come in, we say, who are you? And they say, well, my name is Joyce, or my name is Rebecca, or my name is whatever. And so we know that's not what we want you to do. We want you not to tell us your name, but to tell us who you are. And so we don't understand. Tell us who you are. I am a positive, beautiful, powerful woman of God. I am a powerful, spiritual man of God. That's who I am. That's who I was created to be. So there's positive self-talk. We began to use positive self-talk. What do you do when somebody comes up and says, how you doing this morning? What's your response?
Good.
Good?
Depends on how you feel.
Yeah. Depends on how you feel. Okay. That's not the right approach if it depends on how you feel. Because my perception helps me depend on how I feel. My perception of who I am is going to help me get to a place where I feel better not only about myself, but physically. When somebody says, how you doing this morning, Dr. Garner? I'm always say, well, I'm rich, young, and good looking. I'm great. I'm fantastic. I feel well. I'm rich, young, and good looking. Usually that elicits a little bit of a giggle, and I don't know what they're giggling about because I am rich, and I am young, and I am good looking. So most of us have been taught the importance of being kind to other people. Most of us have been. Some of us don't want to do that. Some of us don't want to believe that. But it's important for us to be kind to other people. We learn that we need to think before we speak. We need to live by the golden rule. What's the golden rule? Yeah, treat people like you want to be treated. Treat people like you want to be treated. There's some people that you just know when that person comes into your sphere of influence, they're going to have something negative to say to you, right? Every time. They're going to be negative about themselves. Well, I don't feel good, My lumbago is acting up. It don't feel good and all this. And then they're going to be negative about you. I walked into somebody's office. I won't tell y'all who it was, but, she's my boss. So I can't tell you who she was, but I walked into her office a couple of days ago and she said, man, you look terrible. Thank you very stinking much. No, you can't be, and so that's kind of not, that's kind of something a little bit negative there. So let's not do that. We learn that we need to think before we say it. The golden rule: treat people the way we want to be treated. But did anyone ever teach you to be kind to how you speak to yourself? Not usually. Not usually. What I was taught was don't toot your own tutor. Let somebody else say good things about you. Yeah, don't toot your own tutor. But here's the issue. If you don't toot your own tutor, your tutor may not get tooted, right? Sometimes you need to toot your own tutor. Sometimes you need to. So, and here's the deal. You don't have to go around saying all of these things to other people. A lot of times you just say them to you. Just to yourself. I'm a kind man. I'm a kind person. I'm a confident person. But I pray on the way to work every morning. I pray on the way home every morning, and I pray during the day. One of the things I pray for is to be a confident person. I want to be a confident person. I also pray for the machine here to work well. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Usually it's been working really well because I pray for it every day. It says, look, you need to be kind in how you speak to yourself. Every one of us, and I've had people tell me, well, I don't do that. Yes, you do. Every one of us engage in self-talk. We all talk to ourselves. We all talk to ourselves about ourselves. We all do that. It's an internal dialogue that you have with yourself about yourself. Self-talk is a combination of conscious and unconscious thoughts. Whatever you tell yourself about yourself, you're going to see that become a reality in your life. You will. It'll happen. Now, here's the deal. If you are ugly and you tell yourself you are pretty, is that going to change how you look?
So.
Say it again.
Yes, to yourself.
To yourself? I will tell you this. If you are extremely ugly and you know you're ugly, a lot of the time you're going to do something to make that. If you tell yourself, hey, look, I'm pretty, I'm good looking, I got this going, you're going to do something to make that a reality. I have a friend, he used to be a friend of mine years ago, but not even an acquaintance anymore. But he had acne when he was a kid, and his whole face looked like the moon. It was popped up real terrible bad. And all up through his high school and all of that stuff, it was bad. So what did he do? Now, he's one of these believers in positive self-talk, and he's talking about how positive he was and all of this kind of stuff and how good looking he is and all of that kind of stuff. And so he grew a beard and a mustache, and he covered up a whole bunch of that stuff, and he keeps his beard and all of that stuff trimmed and looking nice, and so he does look a whole lot. It's not helping you, but it does look a whole lot better. And it does. It looks good. The more of that you can cover up, the better. That's what I'm saying. So that's just positive self-talk, right? And so and when we say something positive about ourselves, and we know that it's not absolutely the truth at that point in time, we work to make it the truth. And that's why positive self-talk works. If I begin to think of myself as a confident person, then I'm going to be more confident. If I begin to say that I am a confident person, then I'm more confident. My boss asked me if I can do something. Absolutely. I can do anything, whatever you need me to do. I can do it. Somebody said, well, can you do brain surgery? Well, yeah. Just, if I can find somebody to lay down for a few minutes, I'll give it a shot, I don't think, if those other old boys can do it, I bet you I can. Right?
No.
Right.
Not that kind of nuts.
We can still give it a shot. Come on. Yeah, we might could do something. So, negative self-talk. Well, wait a minute. We engage in this positive, we engage in self-talk, that internal dialogue. It's a combination of all these things. So we often may not even realize that we're doing it, which is why intentionally practicing positive self-talk is so important. We need to intentionally practice positive self-talk. I am what I say I am. If I say I'm a strong person, then I'm a strong person. I'm going to work to become whatever it is I've decided that I need to be. Whatever my goal is, then I'm I'm going to work. Negative self-talk has a number of harmful effects. We're talking to ourselves negatively. These include lowered self-esteem, poor performance on task. I have seen people who were using negative self-talk all of the time, and when they would do something horrible, they would do a poor job at something. I had a lady that, my goodness, she worked for me out at the prison, and everything she had to say about herself was negative. Well, I just can't do that kind of work. I just don't do well at that. I've never been any good at doing that. Every bit of her work was crap. But she used it as an excuse. Well, Dr. Garner, I've never been any good at it. I said, and you never will be. You never will be, because you're using negative self-talk that's bringing you to a place where you can't possibly do a better job. So it's going to if you're negative in your speaking about yourself, it's going to bring your performance level down. I can't ever stay in my recovery. I relapse every time. I'm always relapsing. I can't do it. I can't do it. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Well, I can't quit smoking. Yes, you can. Millions and millions of people quit smoking every day because they suddenly wise up to how bad that is, and they stop. So if they can stop, you can stop. Yeah. So negative self-talk is really bad. Poor performance on task. It also will increase my anxiety. On the other hand, positive self-talk is linked to increased self-esteem. I feel better about things. Mastery of task. I can do it. If I say I can, I know I can. I do usually get to that place where I can do it. Lowered anxiety. I had to go over yesterday and do some work that I hadn't done in years. I've been on a level where I didn't have to do assessments and I didn't have to do intakes and stuff like that. Hadn't done it in years, and I had a little anxiety about going over and doing that. But when I got into it, wasn't a deal at all. But that anxiety that was coming up, I kept using positive self-talk. So yeah, absolutely. I can do that. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I absolutely can do it. And so, if you're struggling with an assignment, you might think, this isn't this hard for anybody else. Why is it for me? What's wrong with me? What if instead of putting ourselves down, you said to yourself, this is hard and I need some help, but how do we do? How do we do positive self-talk? How do we go about getting positive self-talk into our everyday? So here's the deal. The very first thing that we need to do is pay attention to what you're saying. And I will tell you this, we need to be helping each other pay attention. Now, we don't usually do that. A bunch of guys get together. Ladies are better at it. When I say something negative, I need people that are willing to tell me that. Now, I will tell you here, we have a staff here that's really good at that. They will tell me in a moment, that sounded a little negative. Yeah, that's not, you shouldn't say stuff like that. They're going to tell me in a minute. So you need to have somebody that's going to be willing to help you do that. But we need to pay attention to what we're saying. Most of the time, we don't. When somebody comes in and says, how are you today? We go to every bad thing that we can think. And we give a litany of woe. Well, I don't have any money. My toe hurts. All of these things. We'll figure out everything in my life that's not going exactly the way that I want that to go. That's not going exactly the way that I've planned for it to go. And that's what I'm going to talk about. But what I should be talking about is all the things that did go the way that I planned them. So notice your self-talk. See what you're talking about. Many of us don't pay attention to our self-talk or our self-talk thoughts. Make an effort to notice your self-talk thoughts. How I'm talking to myself within myself. Not how I'm talking to other people, but how I'm talking to myself within myself. I need to think about what I'm thinking about, right? If I can think about what I'm thinking about, then I'll be able to see if my thoughts are negative or if my thoughts are positive. And I need to nourish the positive thoughts. I need to dwell on the positive thought. It's like the story of the two dogs. If you put one dog on this side of the house chained up, and you put one dog on that side of the house chained up, and you feed this dog, but you don't feed that dog, which one's going to do better?
The one you feed.
The one you feed. So if you say it again,
The hand that fed him.
hand and fed him. So if you feed the negative thoughts, then the negative thoughts are going to grow. If you feed the positive thoughts, then the positive thoughts are going to grow. Most of the time, it's easier to feed the negative thought because they keep coming back. They keep attacking. They keep just running into your mind. Oh my God, this is going to, oh my. Okay. You know, the thing about it is, if I can't do it 100 years from now, it ain't going to matter, right? More than likely, whatever it is, ain't going to matter 30 minutes from now. It's going to matter. So, make an effort to notice your self-thoughts and whether they're negative or positive. Keep trying to list all the self-talk thoughts you notice throughout the day. Sometimes our negative self-talk thoughts end up coming out of our mouth. So enlist friends to help you. Ask friends or other loved ones to point out to you each time you say something that is self-critical. And let me share this with you kind of quickly, because we're going to take an early break, I think. I will commit to helping you with that. So if somebody tells me something negative, I'll share with you. You know, that's a negative self-talk. What can we do? What can we say other than that? You know, instead of saying the negative thing, what can we do that's positive in that situation? So today we're going to take a little bit longer break. Is that all right with anybody? All right, we're going to do that. And so we'll be back in here about 15 minutes after. So y'all don't smoke extra cigarettes because of that. Did they unlock the door? They just leave it alone.
That's the latest thing.
She'll just leave a little
Back.
back.
You say something, Mr. G, I'm considered. They don't pay me to think. That every okay, Ricky James. I gotta go outside. Thank you, sir.
You know, you ready for your appointment? Oh, ready? All right. Want to do it how we all?
You want to? Okay.
I know he is.
Okay, yeah, really great spin. Okay. That's not even easy. You might get a hold.
I already know.
Oh, okay. It's coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to look back good.
I was in here. I was going.
This is the deal, right? That is what the way to eat. Like, so,
Oh, good this morning.
like that,
Yeah, I like that. I like that sports though. I'm about to see what you're doing. What is it? Yellow?
Yeah. I should.
Oh, it's just coffee. Oh yeah, French vanilla. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Bill.
Also waiting on call.
Time we usually eat lunch? 12. Well, sometimes you guys are out. But that's not.
That's on the chat, right?
Yes.
Do I have to sign it or can?
Oh, you can just sign up for it. Huh? Andrew, hey, how's this up?
Hey, boss, you gonna mail out?
We're not doing those.
Yeah.
That's supposed
How you doing, there, boss?
Oh, pretty good. Oh, pretty good. So, how long your class here? You got that. I did sure. I'd rather have one than not have. Woo! Go Saturday or Sunday. I mean, unless you have enough privilege to do something, earn privileges, stay here. That's all. I'm not there yet. Oh, me tonight. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I think so. Just me and you, Nico.
Yeah, sit right here.
Little dude.
Oh,
Hey, son.
Say it again. Tangled. Look at my glasses. Oh, I got my glasses. Huh. Yeah, chessboard and chessboard. Ready. Always go on the window.
Let's push this.
No,
name, say power.
You know how to play chess?
I do know how to play chess. Do you know how to play chess? You honestly don't.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Always,
Time space on it. I don't want. Actually, yeah. Listen, man. You are cool. What's up? What's up? Paper on you.
Doing all right. See, just oh, no.
Don't know what chairs, oh yeah. Yeah, okay. I do not know what chairs. I know the moves, I know the game, but I don't know the fucking strategy.
Well, strategy is a tough word. I wouldn't. I don't think I have. That's hard. Never got it. Try to teach me. And I'd rather do something that like I wouldn't do that. Yeah, don't ever listen to that.
I think you should try to teach me. That's what you're like.
I like dumb. Now say,
Well,
I have big style.
now big style.
Big style. Like that. It looks like it's totally different.
I'll pass on this.
No.
Filled with sugar on the ground. I have a woman.
Better than I did when I got here.
Yeah, but that's okay. we got to get started back. Yeah, that's your game up. Yeah. Well, most part, we're back, and I know we're all seriously enjoying this group. I can just tell by the reactions I'm getting here and over at North. I can see you guys in the little corner of my thing here, and you're just excited. So we're going to finish this up. We may finish up just a little bit early because it's that kind of day, right? That kind of day. It's Wednesday. It's warm outside. It was 70 degrees when I got up this morning. Man, middle of November and it's 70. So again, notice or attempt to notice how you're talking to your. So analyze that self-talk, see what you're doing, check the facts. You notice that self-talk first. We'll all do it. Notice what you're talking about yourself, to yourself, how you're analyzing yourself, how you're thinking about yourself, and then analyze your self-talk thoughts. See about what you're thinking about. Check the facts. You know, if you're thinking to yourself, man, I am stupid. Is that true? Could be. Could be. Could be for some people, you know, but here's the deal. I have done some stuff. I've failed tests. I have gotten people angry at me. I've said the wrong thing. I've done the wrong thing and all of that stuff. And when I go back, I'm thinking in my own self-thoughts. I'm thinking that, well, how stupid that was. How ignorant that was. How out of sorts that was. All kinds of stuff. So I need to get into my mind and change those kinds of thoughts. Here's the deal. Once I change those kinds of thoughts and I get my self-thoughts over to a place where they're positive self-talk to myself, inside myself, then those actions change. Now look, it's not magic, but it's absolutely the truth. It works. If you look, there's a lot of people who go around telling them, you know, I'm addicted to sugar. And I can't eat just one cookie. If I eat one cookie, I'm going to eat the whole bag, right? So instead of that, I need to tell myself, I'm not addicted to sugar. I'm not. I'm not addicted to sugar. I do, I do really, really like it a lot. But, you know, if I want to have just one cookie, I can have one cookie. I can do those things. I need to get more positive about that situation. Now, here's the deal. I'm in recovery from sugar. I'm not going to eat any of that sugar. But if I wanted to, I could. I could. Now, that doesn't go into some other addiction. Don't look at me like that. You can't go out and have a nice cold beer, right? Here's the deal. I can tell myself, I don't need that. I don't need sugar, right? That's a good positive thing to say. I don't need alcohol. I don't need that. Look, used to, I felt like alcohol and drugs because of my low self-esteem. I could do things better. I could say things better. I could act better. I look better. All of these things, my life for a little bit was better. But I'm going to tell you this, that I don't need that kind of stuff, right? So what did you have?
Well, I was going to say nothing. I wasn't going to, never mind. It's nothing. You back yourself up.
Yeah. I could see that in your eyes, yeah. So here's the deal. Analyze what you're thinking. Check the facts. If you had a thought like, I can never do anything right. You ever had a thought like that? I have. I've had a thought like, man, I can't do anything right. I know a young lady who went to take the test for LCDC school or LCDC license. She failed that test about 30 times. You can't fail it that many. She failed it like 4 different times. And if you fail it on that 5th time, you got to go back to school for 13 more hours. And 13 hours of college credit is a long time. A lot of money, a lot of time, all of this kind of stuff. So, she was at the place where she kept saying, I know I can't pass it. I'm never going to be able to pass it. So I had to share with her. She was out of prison. And I had to share with her, you're right. You're never going to pass it. You are never going to be an LCDC. You're never going to be able to get your license. And she said, well, that's not a good thing to say to me. That's what you're saying it to yourself. I'm just agreeing with you. You need to change what you're saying to yourself. So she did. She changed what she was saying to herself, got a little bit more positive. She did some more study. And she did because when I put that goal there, when I have that positive self-talk, then I'm going to do the things to make my positive self-talk a reality in my life. She didn't just sit down and say, okay, yes, I'm going to pass the test. And then go to the testing site and take the test and pass it. She got to studying. She went and bought some special study material. She studied for 3 solid months, day in, day out, went took that test. Did she pass it? Yes, she passed it. It wasn't all about the positive self-talk. It was about what the positive self-talk causes us to do. When I tell myself I'm a good dad, then I'm going to do the things that's going to make that positive self-talk a reality. When I tell myself I'm a good mom, I'm going to do the things that make that positive self-talk a reality. I can do it. I can get up that mountain. I can get myself into shape. I can do some exercise every day. I can start eating the right things.
You look at it, man.
We had a whole group one time. I don't know if y'all were here, but we had a whole group over what it is on the back of a Pop-Tart thing. That was a pretty good group. We talked about all of the things with it. But if I want to do whatever it is that I want to do and I get positive about that, I'm going to do the things to make my positive self-talk a reality. And that's the big deal. That's the big deal. Yes, I can stay in my recovery. And when somebody comes up and says, hey, you know what? We're going over to Bubba's house today, and he's going to make barbecue, and he's going to do this, and he's going to do that. Then we're going to be able to say to ourselves, hey, you know what? I'm going to stay in my recovery, and going to Bubba's house is not part of me staying in my recovery, so guess what I'm not going to do? I ain't going to Bubba's house. I ain't going to Bubette's house. I ain't going to any of those people's house.
Bob kicks all kinds of hell.
Say it again?
Bob kicks all kinds of hell.
Yeah, Bubba's like that. See, I never met anybody named Bubba until I came to Texas. I come to Mississippi, and I came over here about the first week. I ran into that guy and I said, how you doing? He said, hey, my name's Bubba. That's my brother, Bubba. That's my sister, Bubette, over there. Okay. All right. Nothing wrong with Bubba, but he is the butt of a lot of jokes and stuff. Okay. So know what these are. I never did anything right. Stop and ask yourself, is that really true? No. We've gotten ourselves, we've dug a really big hole and filled it in with poo-poo caca stuff, right? We've done that a lot. I did that a bunch. I've dug the hole some more, filled it up all full of, so I'm up to here with poo-poo caca stuff. Like the people who went to hell. A whole bunch of people went to hell, and they asked this guy, they said, look, I'm going to show you. The devil came by and said, I'm going to show you all of the things we have. He said, open up the door, and there's people in this lake full of fire and all of this stuff. He said, you want to go in there? He said, no, that don't look like the place. So he went to the next one, opened it up. There's a lot of people in there, and they're chopping them up into little bitty pieces. Then they'll reconstitute it, chop them up again. He said, no, that's not it. Yeah. No. So we went to another one, and there's just thousands of people, thousands and thousands of people standing in sewage up to about their waist. Just, terrible, horrible, stanky sewage up to about their waist. And they're drinking coffee. Oh, okay, this ain't pleasant. Not nice. But I'll do that. So he waded out in the sewage, got out there, got his spot. They said, what kind of coffee you like? So he got his coffee and everything, and he's sipping his coffee. And then the demon in charge up there said, okay, coffee break's over, back on your heads. Oh, come on, it's hilarious. Come on, I'm telling y'all, joke. Trying to make it. Okay. So identify, I can never do anything right. Is it really true? No. If you look back over your lifetime, you've done a lot of things right. So you can do things right, right? There are things that you can do. That's right. So that's not really true. Think of all the things that you've accomplished, all the things that you personally have done right. You know, it's easy for me to sit down and journal the things I've done wrong. You know, the DWIs I've gotten, the times I went to work drunk, the things that I did this and this, the people that I have waylaid, the things I've done that. But then when you start trying to figure out what are the things that I did right, it just feels wrong to figure out the right. So sometimes that's not the easiest thing in the world to think about what it is that I've done right, but I've done so much right. And so have you. Each one of us have done so many things right that it's an amazing thing to us, and it's okay for us to believe those things. So,
The same way you said that, brother. The world was really nothing.
so another example is no one ever wants to hang out with me. Is that true? Oh, you just think when you get back out, all of your old friends are going to want to hang out with you because they want to get you high and all of that kind of stuff. So here's the deal. There are 8 billion people on the face of the earth. There's a whole lot of other people we can make friends with, right? There's a whole lot of other people out there that may want to spend time with you. There are a whole lot of other people out there who love you right now and who would like to be spending some time with you right now. Isn't that amazing? It's true. You know, when I was out at the prison, we'd see on the weekends, on Saturday, there's always, Saturday and Sunday, always a lot of people coming to visit, mostly mommies, but, you know, mommies and wives. I've seen little children coming out there, all of that stuff. You know, so there are people who care about us and want to be with us. There's some people in my life that don't care about me and don't want to be with me, but they're way overshadowed by the people who do care about me and do want to be with me. So, instead, think of times when you spent quality time with people you really liked. Left unchecked, negative self-talk thoughts become our beliefs. Become our beliefs about ourselves. So recognizing that they are inaccurate is really important to us. As I think negative thoughts, they'll bring my self-esteem down. They'll bring my self-actuary down, which means that when there's something negative to do, robbing a service station, breaking into somebody's house, selling drugs, doing those kinds of things seem to make more sense to me than doing the positive. So I don't need to be thinking, if I'm already thinking I'm a bad person, then bad things will be easily done for me. I'll be able to do the bad things more easily because I already think I'm not a good person anyway. So I might as well go do this. So I need to get away from the negative self-talk and start thinking. Can we see how that builds into spirituality? If I have a higher power, then I can go to my higher power with all of these negative thoughts, and my higher power is going to help me to turn those things into positive things. It really do work. So here, identify and learn from your self-talk. We need to, in a growth mindset, we realize our thoughts are telling us something about what we need. If we're trying to get into a growth spiral, then we're getting to a place. I want to be better yet tomorrow than I am today. I don't want to be better today than I was yesterday. I had some thoughts yesterday. I don't want to have those thoughts anymore. Today I had some thoughts. I don't want to fool with that anymore. So I want tomorrow to be different than today, right? I do. So I want to move on from that. So I want to have a growth mindset. We realize our thoughts are telling us something about some stuff that we need in our lives. Identify what emotion you are feeling. So anybody here have any emotions this morning that they were feeling? I did. Yeah, I did. I had some emotions this morning. Yeah, okay. Got my feelings hurt this morning already. Hadn't been here 10 minutes. Got my feelings hurt. Isn't that sad? That's sad, isn't it?
They don't let that interrupt the
No.
When some saw bad, I feel like the whole day gonna be bad.
Yeah.
So you gotta get out that mindset.
Exactly. Oh, hear what Mr. Adams said. He said, when something like that happens, and you know, if you let it, it'll flavor the rest of your day, right? Your whole day is going to be wrong. And I had somebody tell me that the other day. They said, look, my whole day's going to suck. My whole day's wrong. I said, what's wrong with it? They said, because this happened. So you can't stay, like Clinton said, you cannot stay in that mindset. You got to pull yourself out of that, or it will mess your whole day up. Right? The issue that hurt my feeling is going to stay. It's going to be there tomorrow. So, you know, you got to do something about those things. And when you do something, the biggest thing that you can do is change your mindset on that. Right? Don't worry about it. So, don't let it get you. Whether you need to attend to that emotion before you can be successful. And I successful for the day. And I had to ask yourself, what is this thought telling me about what I need? In the earlier example about struggling with an assignment, the negative self-talk might be telling us we need to get some help. And it's not a bad thing. If you suffer from perfectionism, one of the worst things in the world for me is to have to ask for help. But is asking for help a wrong thing? No. It's positive self-talk for me to be telling myself it's okay if I need help. And I've gotten pretty good at that. You know, yesterday when I went and did what I was doing yesterday, I had no idea on how to get started. So I had to ask the boss lady over there, how do you do that? She came from her office all the way over to where I was in another office and got it all started for me, showed me how to do it. That was a good thing, you know, because I couldn't do it myself. But I got to the place where I asked for help. Back in the day, I would have sat there and fooled with it till the day was over with, and I'd have never gotten it done. But yesterday, I got two of them. So, ask yourself what the thought telling me. We may need to get some help. We may need to go to a classmate, a professor, a tutor, somebody get some help. So, reframe. The next thing is to reframe our self-talk. Get to a place where, what does that mean? When I reframe my self-talk, what does that mean? I change it. Yeah, I change what I'm thinking. Change my self-talk. I can get somewhere different. Is it hot in here?
Yeah.
It's hot. If it's not too cold in here, it's too hot. So using what we've learned and learned in the analysis and identify stages, we can reframe negative thoughts into positive ones. So instead of saying, I'm so stupid at math, it can become I'm really struggling with a particular assignment and deserve to get some help so that I can succeed. Now, that's a whole lot of stuff to say. But what I'm going to say is, look, you know, it's obvious I need some help on this. I need the help, and I'm going to get some help, and there's nothing wrong with getting help. So that's one of the things we need to understand. There's nothing wrong with getting help. I was in college, and math, I'm okay with math. You know, I'm not a mathematician by any stretch of the imagination, but with math, I'm okay with math. Statistics, on the other hand, are straight from the depths of hell. Whoever, the person who first came up with statistics, should be dug up, resurrected, and killed. You know, sorry?
Statistics don't be right.
Well, statistically speaking, statistics are hard. You know, I passed the statistics class. but just barely. That was the worst thing that ever hit. And when I was there, that's what I can't stand this. I'm horrible in this. This is terrible. I'm the worst statistician in the entire world. Statistics make no sense. They shouldn't exist. All of that had every bad thought that I could think. Now, I will tell you, I have freeze-framed my thinking on that. Statistics have a lot of good places to be. There's a lot of good things that we can do with statistics. In the job that I have, I don't use statistics a lot, but they are used. They're used in the prison system. They're used in our facility. We come up with what's the, statistically speaking, how many people are going to relapse, how many people are not going to relapse. And once we understand that statistic, we know how we have to do our program in order to help more people to be statistically sound. And so statistics are a good thing. So I don't hate statistics anymore. I don't operate in them, as much as some people do, but I don't hate them like I used to, and I'm okay with them, and I can deal with them if I have to. So another simple one is we can add for now to some of the negative thoughts. I'm so lonely instead of I'm so lonely all the time. We could say I'm so lonely right now. And that can change. That changes my idea. If I'm lonely all the time, that means even when I'm with somebody I love, even when I'm with my kids and grandkids, and even when I'm in a crowd, I'm still lonely. Is that possible? Yeah. Yes, it is. A lot of people suffer from deep depression and anxiety, and they just feel like they are alone in a whole crowd of people. And it's a sad, sad thing. We can start saying to ourselves, I am lonely. I'm lonely right now. That's going to get fixed. That's going to change. I'm going to have a relationship at some point that is more than just a sexual relationship. It's more than just a physical relationship. It is more of a spiritual relationship. I'm going to have a relationship with a higher power, but I'm going to have a relationship with another person that's on a spiritual level as well. So we can change how we see that, how we think about that, and how we talk about that. The first place I'm going to change how I talk about that is where? In my mind. In how I'm thinking about it. And then how I talk about it. When I say something, it needs to be coming out positive. I need to be looking at what I say. I need to be looking at what I say in my mind, think about what I'm thinking about, and then I need to be paying really close attention to what I'm saying. And when what I'm saying is negative, I need to be reframing that into something positive. And I need to see how often. I need to time that. How often I'm doing that. If every time I'm talking to somebody is always negative, I need to know that because we'll become an entirely negative person. I will tell you this, and I hate to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you this. And y'all all know I've told you probably 100 times. My wife and I have been married for 52 years. That's a long time. And she was not always that way, but as she's grown older, she has become more and more negative. And when a person is really intrinsically negative, when you tell them they're negative, they will stand against that. I'm not negative. I'm never negative. But everything they say is negative. That's because they've come to a place where everything negative is what they believe. And they think they're being positive when they're actually being negative. And so we need to guard against that. Make sure that we're reframing that stuff when we need to. So that helps us to understand that the negative situation is temporary and can be addressed. If something's temporary, what does that mean? Yeah, it ain't going to last forever. This is just going to be the next few minutes. That's like that urge surfing thing. Yesterday I had to go to, y'all know I was at the Melton Center, and I was coming up from the Melton Center, and I came up 11th Street. Guess what's on 11th Street? Dunkin' Donuts. And I'm passing by Dunkin' Donuts, and my myself said to myself, you could have a donut if you wanted one. You could have an apple fritter if you want. You can do that. It's $2.50 for an apple fritter, but you can have one. You've got $2.50. You're a full-grown man. If you want, you can get one. So that desire to have an apple fritter was right there. And then I said, nope, not gonna have it. And then so it was replaced with a desire for just a regular donut, just one stinking donut. Yeah, okay. So finally, I passed by Dunkin' Donuts, and as I'm going on down the road, that thought just went out of my mind. So I didn't relapse on donuts yesterday. I wanted to, I thought I needed one, but when that negative thought came in my mind that said, hey, look, you can have one, that sounds like a positive thought, it's actually negative, because that donut is going to shoot my sugar way up here somewhere and going to cause me all sorts of issues. So instead of having the donut, I went on down the road and I changed that thought from I could have a donut if I wanted. I changed that to the more positive thing that says I could have a donut if I wanted one, but the fact is I don't need one, and so I'm not going to have it. So that changed. So, and it helped me get past the urge to get a donut. So I have to reframe those things. And I had a real deep desire for that, but I had to put on there, the thought came to my mind, I can't ever have another donut. Is that true? Not true. I can have a donut anytime I want to have it. I can go get me a donut right now. I'm not going to, but I could. So I had to put on the end of that for now. I can't have a donut right now. That makes it a little bit easier. That doesn't tell me. That's like our, that doesn't tell me that, that tells me that that's not an impossibility for me. So here's the last thing we want to take a real good close look at in this situation is we need to add more positive self-talk. None of us have enough positive self-talk. We need to be talking about ourselves to ourselves more positively. So just flip the balance. Make it different. Now that we're noticing and that we're aware of all the negative things that we say to ourselves, intentionally add kind and praising thoughts to teach your brain that you want to be positive instead of negative. And look, I know sometimes when I get up in the morning, you first wake up in the morning, and what's the first thing that runs across your mind? Cigarette. Well, not my mind. In my mind, I wake up in the morning and I don't feel that well. I don't feel so well. I don't know why I don't feel. That's a negative self-talk. I'm going to be doing stuff all day long. I've got to be more positive about it. So I need to start looking at the things in my life that are more positive. I'm not using today. I feel great compared to what I used to feel. Right now I'm a little bit older. There's a few things that don't feel like I would like for them to feel, but I am nowhere. I used to wake up so sick I could not see. I'm not like that anymore. So I'm not using the kind of stuff that was turning me into a zombie anymore. I'm in great shape compared to when I was using heavily. When I was using heavily, man, I was way overweight. Alcohol is nothing but empty calories. And I always had this thing, most of the time when I was drinking, I wasn't eating because I was drinking. I'm drinking, I'm not eating because my focus is in a different place. But also, after I got sober, I would eat a lot because, I'm sick, I feel bad, and usually eating would make me feel better. So I would eat a whole bunch of stuff, and I would eat ice cream and all kinds of stuff. So I'm diabetic today. I eat all of this mess, and it would do all this stuff. So I gained, I was up close to 200 pounds. And for me, I'm 5'8", I'm a little guy, and so, when I was heavy like that, I felt horrible. But nowadays, I feel a whole lot better because I'm in much better shape. So I have to get past all this stuff. Say to yourself, Intentionally add kind and praising thoughts to your brain. Let your brain know. Your brain is amazing. Your mind is amazing. If you can teach your mind that you would prefer to be positive than negative, it will go to that place. You get to teach your mind what you want to think about. And so if most of the time you're thinking about negative stuff, what that person said to me, that bother anybody? Things that people say to you? See, I tell you, my feelings got hurt this morning. I had people say stuff, and I was kidding with you about the door being locked. It was locked, and I did have to walk around. And so that's aggravating. That didn't hurt my feelings. That was just aggravating. But I had somebody else say something to me this morning that actually hurt my feelings. And I'm sitting there, my feelings all hurt and all this kind of stuff. And back in the day, I would have had something to say, and then, it would have been downhill from there, and the day would have been. So I had to change my way of thinking where actually what the person said to me should not. It's going to take some stuff off my plate. It should not have hurt my feelings at all. So I had to deal with it. And I changed it around, and I got my brain to thinking, hey, you know what? It's better to be positive in this situation than negative in this situation. And so, am I positive in everything I ever do? Yes, I am. See, y'all hurt my feelings again. No, I'm not. We all have the ability to be negative about stuff, right? We need to be, you need to understand that's going to happen from time to time. And to say, I'm going to be positive about everything in the world, that's not realistic. There are going to be times when there's a negative thing that's going to creep in your life. Here's the deal. I want to have much more positive things than negative things. Right? If I get my brain to the place where my mind understands that I prefer positive, and I do at this point in my life, I prefer things to be positive. I want everybody to be positive about stuff. I don't want some people come to my office, I can't do this, and I can't do that, and I can't do that. I want to lead them to a place where they're more positive about things. And myself personally, when I'm thinking, when I'm praying, when I'm talking to myself, in myself, I'm doing positive things. Yes, I am a confident, positive person. That's who I am. I thank my higher power for salvation, grace, mercy, and peace, and for being a confident, positive person. And so, that's what I'm doing. So I want to have much more positive, and let me tell you something. If we have a whole lot more positive things in our mind than negative things in our mind, the negativity is going to be a whole lot less than if we're negative thinking all the time, right? That's which dog you feed. Intentionally add kind and praising things to your mind. Outnumbering your negative self-talks with positive ones can help teach your unconscious brain that you like yourself and are kind to yourself rather than not liking and criticizing yourself. Can you find one thing about yourself that you like? And sometimes it's some of the things that I like about myself may be a little bit problematic for other people. Yeah. I'm devastatingly good looking. And that hurts all of the guys, all of the guys in the group, it's envious and all of that stuff because you can't get this. This was just a gift from God. There's nothing I can do about it. Yeah. So, but I am positive about who I am. And I want to be positive about the fact that I'm a good person. I'm a good dad. I'm a good this, and I'm a good employee. Even though somebody in the room locks me out of my office every day. Every day. I'm still not negative about that. It sounds a little bit like it, but I'm positive, I'm positive that I'm not negative about that. So taking time to identify and change the patterns of self-talk is a great form of self-care. And we need to have some self-care. When you get out of here and you go to your next job, if it's a job you're going to spend your life at, make sure that you figure out what the benefits are. Is there time off? Because I'm going to tell you, you can't do what you do all the time forever and ever and ever. You need some time away, right? That's called self-care. I need to get away so that I can do the things I want to do. There are people who love to fish. We got any fishermen? Oh, people love to fish. I don't like to fish. Well, I don't. The problem with fishing for me is when I go fishing, there's this outside chance I might catch something. What are you going to do then? You got to clean it. You got to eat it. And all that kind of stuff. I don't like fish that much. I do like fish from Hamilton. So, they caught it, cleaned it, cooked it. So, as mentioned above, research shows that making this change can result in improved performance. If you feel better about yourself, you talk to yourself in a better way, more positive way. You're going to be a better worker, be a better hand. You're going to be, you're going to have increased self-esteem. You're going to feel better about self, which is all what it's about. You're going to have reduced levels of anxiety. Anxious people go home quicker than anybody else. Anxious people tire out quicker. Anxious people wind up on medicine, all of that kind of stuff, and reduced levels of positivity if you're anxious all the time. So if you're finding it difficult to challenge your negative self-talk, which a ton of us do, counseling can be a great option. Talk to your counselor. Talk to the therapist. You pay those people much money so that you can go talk to them. So go talk to them. See if they can help you. And here's the deal. That's a great option. And if all else fails, then ask yourself, would I speak to a friend or a loved one in the right way that I'm talking to myself right now? If I do something that I find is stupid, y'all don't, I'm not calling anybody stupid, but do you know that we all from time to time do stupid stuff? Yeah. If I do stupid stuff, does that make me stupid? No. I am not what my actions are. I'm not. Now, my actions can turn me into something I don't want to be, so I may need to change some of my actions. But here's the deal. When I do something stupid, that does not reflect on me being stupid. So instead of allowing that to take my self-talk to a place where I'm always telling myself, you're stupid because you did this, you're stupid because you did that, then we can get our self-talk to, hey, I did something stupid. Okay, not going to do that again because it was indeed stupid, but that doesn't mean that I am stupid. Here's the deal. A stupid person would not be able to recognize the stupidity of their action. So if I know that what I've done is not the thing to do, that means that I'm not a stupid person. And look, I know everybody here, and I know most of the ladies over at North. I know there's no stupid people here. What might I tell a friend or loved one who's going through this? If a friend or a loved one was having an issue in that area, what am I going to tell them? I would tell myself, and I need to be willing to tell myself the same thing. You deserve the same compassion that you would give to other people, right? We need to learn. All this is about positive self-talk. All that is about is taking care of myself, being kind to me, giving myself the benefit of the doubt, right? All right, questions, comments, or snide remarks?
Snide remark.
Say it again?
Snide remark.
Snide remark. Anybody else? All right. Well, I thank you. That's it. We're going to quit 5 minutes early.